To the stars, Bowen. To the stars. Hi, everybody. Back for another movie review. And since I'm on the top, since I did my Dragon Slayer video and the fact that the new Dungeons and Dragons movie is out this weekend, I figured I'd actually do another movie about dragons, and this time I decided to review Dragonheart. Dragonheart is a fantasy adventure film that came out back in 1996. Give me a second here. I need to try to get better light here because this is kind of funky. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Needed to get angle the camera better so I can get better lighting. So this is a perfect angle right here. All right. So anyway, what was I? Dragonheart came out back in 1996 by Universal Pictures and is a fantasy adventure medieval film. It stars a great cast of actors. Dennis Quaid plays Bowen, who is a knight of the old code, who is basically training the king's son, Einan, to basically not only become a good knight, but to also become a better king than his father. His father is a bit of a corrupt and cruel man. But during a recent peasant revolution, his father is slain in battle, and Einan is brutally injured in the fight. And he is taken to... his mother decides that in order to save Einan's life, she realizes that there is only one other way, so she takes him to see a dragon, Draco, voiced by Sean Connery, who ultimately offers an opportunity to give Einan life, but what he ends up doing is he ends up giving him half of his heart. So Einan lives, but unfortunately, Einan, now as king, ultimately becomes pretty much as corrupt of a monster as his own father was. Something that Bowen was really never hoping to see happen. So unfortunately, Bowen believes, and he thinks that it was because of the dragon's heart that turned Einan evil. And so he makes a vow to hunt the dragon down and to destroy him forever. So flash forward like 12 years, and Bowen is now a full-fledged dragon slayer. Einan, now played by David Thewlis, is now king and has pretty much become as corrupt of a monster as his father. And Draco is still being, obviously, one of the last of his kind, being hunted down by Bowen. And Bowen eventually learns from Draco that Draco was not the one that polluted the heart. It was actually Einan that did, because Einan was always going to become the monster that Bowen never hoped he would become, so naturally. So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the movie in a nutshell. And of course, there's also a peasant girl named Kara, played in the film by the lovely Dinah Meyer, who joins up with Bowen and Draco to help put an end to Einan. Well, she has a bit of a vendetta against Einan too, since her father was one of the guys that led the peasant revolution against Einan's father. Dragonheart was released back in theaters in 1996 by Universal and was a bit of a moderate hit at the box office. It received mostly mixed opinions by critics who obviously praised the film for its elaborate old medieval look, and of course Dragonheart was also a breakthrough in terms of visual effects, especially with the effects that were done to the dragon to bring him to life, which is one of the things that, no doubt, one of the reasons why the film received an Academy Award nomination for its visual effects, which it ultimately lost to Independence Day at the time. And I'm going to be frank and honest, this Blu-ray cover, while it is beautiful to look at, but the fact of the matter is, in the movie, as far as I know, I think there were only two dragons, Draco and there was one other. But in the movie, well, it's also interesting because that dragon there at the far end, I think that was on the front cover of the poster art, I think. I could be wrong. And that right there, well, I don't know. It's, like I said, this is a weird-looking cover art for Universal. The dragon was, one of the supervisors on the dragon was Phil Tippett, who actually worked on Dragon Slayer, a movie I already reviewed. And Draco is often looked at as one of the best on-screen movie dragons out there, next to Vermithrax Pejorative from Dragon Slayer, and of course Smaug from The Hobbit, and no doubt many others. But Draco is definitely one of the best ones because of the amount of effects work that were used to bring the dragon to life. I mean, also getting Sean Connery's voice into the dragon's lips, and of course the facial movements of the dragon himself. I mean, they literally modeled the dragon after the actor voicing him, which is pretty impressive, I have to say. Very impressive stuff. Dragonheart was directed by Rob Cohen, who at the time had, the same year Dragonheart came out, he also made another movie, Daylight, which also released by Universal, came out the same year. It's interesting because Rob Cohen has directed 3 movies in his filmography that have the word dragon in the title. Prior to Dragonheart, he did Dragon, the Bruce Lee story in 1993, and would eventually go on to do The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. So yeah, 3 movies he did with the word dragon in the title. It's pretty impressive. At the Saturn Awards, the movie picked up several nominations. It actually won, and it won Best Fantasy Film of 1997, which I'm glad to see that it did. And Rob Cohen has admitted in interviews that he has said that Lord of the Rings, the movies, probably would not exist if it weren't for Dragonheart. But those are his words, at least that's what I've read, or what I've seen, so... But he has said that recently, and even to this day, he still feels very proud of the movie himself. And honestly, Dragonheart has held up pretty well over the years. And it also has developed a huge following. So big, in fact, that it ultimately ended up spawning 3 direct-to-video sequels that were made. I've only seen one of them, but I'm going to be of mind and simply say that when it comes to Dragonheart, I would simply suggest you stick with the original. The sequels are... all they are really like cash grabbers. I mean, one of these days I might actually do a video on several Universal titles that have had multiple direct-to-video sequels made, but yet none of them share the heart and soul of the original film, and Dragonheart is one of them. But as I've said, the movie was a moderate hit, and when it comes to medieval fantasy adventures, it actually holds up pretty well. It really does. It doesn't have as much chaotic, blood-soaked action as many other R-rated medieval fantasy adventure films do, and I don't know why I say R, because it's PG-13. But the one thing that really does hold up on this film very well, not only does the look of the film, like the production design of the film, hold up well, but honestly, the special effects work in the movie is pretty impressive too, as it still holds up. I am aware that Dragonheart was released recently on Blu-ray and 4K through Shout Factory, but unfortunately I still only have the Universal edition here. And Dragonheart has been released several times on home video and DVD. I have, for the longest time, had a collector's edition release of the film on DVD before I acquired the Blu-ray. It was on HD DVD for a while until the Blu-ray came out, so... And so here's the Blu-ray of Dragonheart. Yeah, it's pretty elaborate. As you can see, it's got the same kind of artwork as most Universal titles do, as you see here. It's pretty cool. I actually like this artwork. Very impressive. Oh my... yeah, like I said, I'm trying to fidget with the focus there. I don't know why it's... oh my god. Yeah, it's got a really elaborate look. Yeah, sorry, it's... So yeah, as you can see, I've actually taken pretty good care of it. But yeah, that's what the Blu-ray looks like. The video quality on the disc, well, it's not the best. It's kind of up and down. There are parts of the film that look beautiful, and there are parts where you can definitely tell that Universal, I feel like they should have put more effort into it. That's why a lot of people are going to say the 4K version is probably the best way to go with Dragonheart. But honestly, the Universal Blu-ray still looks pretty good. It's in... the image quality is in 235 by 1 anamorphic, and it looks really good for the most part. There's a lot of good detail, a lot of stuff you couldn't see in the DVD edition. And many of the special effects in the film look pretty good for the most part, actually. They hold up pretty well. So I know a lot of people have actually, I've gone onto a few websites, and I've gone onto highdefdigest.com, and I've also gone to blu-ray.com, and yeah, they kind of gave middling reviews of the movie on Blu-ray. I think blu-ray.com gave it out of 5 stars. I think they gave the video quality 3 maybe out of 5. High Def Digest said the same thing. I think a 3 out of 5 for the movie. I would say, for my opinion, out of 5 stars, I'd probably give it maybe a 4 out of 5. It definitely looks better than it looks, than most people gave it, though. So I would say out of 5 stars, definitely a 4. As for the audio, there's not really any problem with this. The audio is fantastic. The 5.1 DTS audio track it's loud. It's very loud. So there's no complaints right there with that. So yeah, the dragon sound effects, the fire breathing effects, the explosions, the sword clashing, the dialogue all come out perfectly. So out of 5 stars, audio definitely gets a solid 4. I would say out of 5, I'm kind of bordering on somewhere between 4.5 and 5 stars. So the audio, not a problem. Definitely better than the film looks. It's definitely louder than the film looks. So as for the bonus material, there's actually not a lot here, but honestly, what's on here is pretty impressive. The Making of is a documentary that runs about almost somewhere between 45 to 50 minutes, and it's a very comprehensive look at the making of the film. Unfortunately, the documentary is only in standard definition, not high def, but it's still worth watching for those of you that are interested in the film. There's also outtakes. There's an audio commentary with director Rob Cohen and theatrical trailers. Rob Cohen does talk an awful lot about the movie, and this guy is very passionate about filmmaking, and he's worked on tons of movies in the past. Not just directing, but he was involved as an executive producer on quite a few movies throughout the 80s before he eventually went into film directing himself. All this stuff was actually available on the collector's edition DVD release, and no doubt it's all available in the 4K version, probably plus a few additional things. The BD Live thing no longer works. It's a feature that appeared on several Universal Blu-rays, the same with Sony. And unfortunately, it is no longer in function. It's been out of function for several years. Pocket Blue app. Basically, back in the day, this would allow you basically had to download the app on either an iPad, an iPhone, or an Android. And apparently, I guess you were able to stream content, connect, and interact with people. And I think you can also access certain features that you can't access on the Blu-ray, which is pretty cool. As for the on-disc features, I would say out of 5 stars, I'd say 3.5 out of 5. Again, it's all about quality over quantity, and again, the quality of these extras are great. The making of, the outtakes, the commentary, I mean, this still is it's not a bad selection of material to look at. It's pretty good, actually. So, as for the Blu-ray, like I said, overall, if you haven't seen Dragonheart, you need to check this movie out. It's actually really good. It's a lot of fun. It has great, phenomenal effects, which were worthy of the Oscar nomination they received. It's also interesting to note that the film score by Randy Edelman was actually played mainly at the 1997 Academy Awards and was also featured on several movie trailers. And of course, surprisingly enough, I have the soundtrack on CD, by the way, of Dragonheart. This is the film score by Randy Edelman. Randy Edelman, by the way, has scored several of Rob Cohen's movies. Several of the films he has done include Ghostbusters 2, and he also did a lot of films with Ivan Reitman. He did, Ivan Reitman. He did Ghostbusters 2, Kindergarten Cop, and he did a lot of films with Randy Edelman. With Rob Cohen, not just Dragonheart, but he also did The Skulls, The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and many others. But Randy Edelman also did other films like The Mask and Anaconda. He did all those. And his score on this movie is incredible. It's epic, and it's also pretty emotional, too. Literally. I'm surprised he didn't get nominated for an Oscar for this score, because it's really good. Especially, of course, the main title, To the Stars, and the finale. Especially those tracks. Also, A Refreshing Swim is good to listen to as well, because, like I said, a lot of the music on the score is uplifting, and it's very emotional, as strong as the movie itself. But like I said, the movie's not going to be for everybody. I'm sure people are going to find other medieval fantasy adventure films out there that have more heart to them, but Dragonheart is one of those movies that has had a heart. Actually, I take it back. Had a heart, it still has. But for many of you, I would strongly suggest stick with the original, avoid the sequels. But I would say if you want to see them, I mean, I'm sure they're okay, but I would say watch at your own risk. But when it comes to Dragonheart, only the original stands above them all. This is the one I recommend. But like I said, if you have seen the film and no doubt have already upgraded to the 4K version, that's fine because I have really no desire to. I'm still perfectly happy with the Blu-ray here, which does have, pretty strong video, but not the greatest video. The audio is fantastic. It's pulse pounding. The extras, while there's not a lot, they're actually worth checking out. So honestly, this is actually a pretty well put together release of the film. Definitely recommended. And honestly, if you can get your hands on the soundtrack on CD, it's actually pretty cool too. I don't know if it's still available. You might have to, or you can just look it up on YouTube. But I am a bit of a collector myself, and I really like collecting movie soundtracks. And honestly, Dragonheart's a really good one to listen to. So, all in all, this is a fantastic movie, and for those of you that have yet to see it, definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will continue to do more of these in the days to come. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel if you like this content, which, and don't worry, I mean, I'll eventually move into other things. But, like I said, I love talking about movies. This is the kind of thing I love talking about, and these are easy to do. And as I've said in previous videos, as much as I would love to show the content of the movie, unfortunately I can't because of copyright issues. And obviously the same goes with music. I can't play any of the music from the movies. But I can tell you this much, the music in the film is fantastic, as good as the movie itself. So, until then, take care and be safe. Oh, and also, a final nod to Sean Connery. I hope you found your way to the stars, my friend. Definitely. So, though, take care and be safe.